Mr. Donut's Awesome Math Network. It's the Awesome Math Network. Math Network.
Welcome back to the Mr. Donut's Awesome Math Network. Today we are continuing our work on proportional relationships. So before we get started, let's review our criteria for success. Today's criteria for success: we will know we are successful if we can use a table to reason about two quantities that are in a proportional relationship. Also, we will understand the concept of the constant of proportionality. So now let's take a moment before we move on to review what exactly is a proportional relationship. A proportional relationship is when two quantities are always in equivalent ratios. Another way to look at that is a ratio is a comparison of two numbers. A proportion is a comparison of two ratios. So again, when two quantities are always in equivalent ratios, that constitutes a proportional relationship. To further deepen our understanding of proportional relationships, let us use the example of the bread dough recipe, because we always stay making that bread. Smell me? Anywho, this recipe says that for every 8 tablespoons of honey, you need 10 cups of flour. And when it comes to cooking, especially when it comes to recipes, you want to stay consistent. You want to make sure you maintain the ratio, because if you make more or less of something when it comes to a recipe, more, and in this case, more or less bread, you don't want the bread to taste different. You want the bread to taste the same whether you're making 20 loaves, 100 loaves, 1 loaf. So you want to maintain that ratio of tablespoons of honey to cups of flour. Now, in order for us to find out to better fill out the missing table, we need to find out something that's called the constant of proportionality. So what is the constant of proportionality? What is a constant of proportionality? It is a constant ratio, a unit rate, in any proportional relationship. It can always be found by finding out how much of the second quantity per one of the first quantity. And that last part is very important. That unit rate is for one. So in this instance, they'd want to know, well, how many cups of flour would you need if you only had 1 tablespoon of honey? So before I move any further, I want you to notice I left some space up top. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to give a designated, I'm going to label this table further. And how am I going to label that, you ask? Well, this first column in my table, I'm going to designate the value of X. And the second part, I'm going to label Y. I have my X values, I have my Y values. Where have we seen X and Y before? Well, chances are you've seen this on a coordinate grid. You have your X axis, you have your Y axis. And I have a third column and I haven't touched on that yet. So let's see what goes in that third column. Well, in order to find out the constant of proportionality, the method we're going to use is we're going to divide one of the values of Y by one of the values of X. And in this instance, we're going to divide 10 by 8. And when we divide 10 by 8, we get a value of 1.25. Okay, so let's set that there for a second. This constant of proportionality is the rate, and there's a special term for that. We call that term K. K, constant. I'm going to put K over here. I'm going to put K in black. Now we have 3 values. And what we can say now is that K is equal to Y divided by X. Now our language is important. A lot of people say, oh, X equals Y over X. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. A lot of people will say K equals Y over X. Physically, Y is over X. Operationally, what we're saying is that K, the constant, is equal to the value of Y divided by the value of X. Again, this is division. So how will I like to write that? I like to write this in this column as K equals Y divided by X. So now we know that we can fill out this last column with 1.25. That is our constant of proportionality, 1 1/4. So now we are going to multiply everything in the x column, these values, by 1.25 to get the cup. So now that I know the constant, I'm going to go back to complete my table with the missing values. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out this k column with 1.25 because that is my constant. It's going to constantly show up. It's going to be the number I constantly use in my operations. Okay. And then I've left myself enough space here when I drew my table. And as you can see, my table's not perfect, but I gave myself space. Doesn't have to be perfectly lined up. 20 times 1.25 is 25. I'm gonna get my blue marker so I can stay consistent. 13 times 1.25 is 16.25. All right. Now I have a slight conundrum, it seems. I know the value in the y column, don't know the value in the x column. So what does that make me have to do? Well, little trick I showed my students is the idea that if I'm multiplying from left to right, what operation do you think I'm using from right to left physically? Division. Multiplication, division are married. They work together. So now going from right to left, I'm going to divide 20 by 1.25 to find out what this value is. And if I do that, I'll give you a moment to do it at home as I switch markers. 20 divided by 1.25 is 16. So there you have it. The concept of the constant of proportionality, this idea of k, is determined by dividing any value in the y column of a table by the value of the x column, especially if they tell you right off the bat, like in a recipe, that there's constant. That is a constant rate. It's a recipe. You know, you want no matter how much bread you make, you want to make sure it tastes the same. I hope you learned a lot. Shout out to Chalkline for the awesome Doink the Clown hoodie. Doink doesn't get enough love. And this lesson was brought to you by my fire acronym Prestos. Super fire. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this was informative. Keep smiling out there.
Mr. Dona's Awesome Math Network is the Awesome Math Network. Yeah, Math Network.